Hello, good afternoon. I am delighted to talk about engaging students via telecommunication, and I'm very grateful to have been invited to give this presentation at the 5th Singapore International Conference on Social Science and Humanities. So before I start, I would like to give a disclaimer that when I was first invited to give this presentation, it was a long time before the COVID situation. And so this presentation was found very engaging and interesting in regards to basically find ways to collaborate among other universities simultaneously and teach simultaneously among all these institutions and while teaching the same class. So it was way before the COVID alias Zoom situation. So that's my disclaimer. Ironically, a little bit later, we actually started using Zoom for all these classes. So again, I would say that this was the pre-Zoom period, and I wanted to emphasize that because it was very successful, and I wanted to share that since it's not I have been asked to talk about this. So I would specifically like to address the Texas Learning Consortium, which was also known as TLC, formerly known as the Texas Language Consortium, and then evolved into the Texas Learning Consortium, and which is a cross-institutional collaboration among 4 private universities in Texas. So these institutions specifically are the following. They are Lubbock Christian University, Schreiner University, Texas Wesleyan University, and Texas Lutheran University. What is the aim? Well, the aim specifically was collaboration among these 4 universities to teach the same class simultaneously, and not as an online course, but really to engage the students as if they were in the same classrooms while in different universities simultaneously. I'm going to read this quote, which indicates, "Collaboration allows partners to accomplish together that which cannot be achieved alone. As a strategy to solve shared problems or to meet common challenges, collaboration is an oft-celebrated tool across many sectors. The point of collaboration is to join forces because the anticipated end result clearly relates to the shared purpose and goals of the participants." Therefore, that was the aim of the Texas Learning Consortium. As I already mentioned, it started as the Texas Learning Language Consortium and then evolved into the Texas Learning Consortium, meaning that since I teach in the world languages, I teach world languages in the program at Texas Lutheran University. I'm an advocate for languages, and I think we can see how this actually brought us together. However, later on, we started introducing other courses. For instance, you can see here, Introduction to Spanish American Life and Literature, Engineering Dynamics. We had other philosophy courses, among others, which the idea was to offer other courses to provide this opportunity to students. And professors could teach either online, so completely online, that would be asynchronously, or via video conferencing. And the HD video conferencing would look something like this, where the professor would be teaching with a camera in one university, in one classroom, while the other students among other universities would be looking at the class of course, with the help of a camera and the program, as if they were inside the class. So it's a little bit different than Zoom because in which it would, I would say, provide you could be teaching in the classroom and it would provide the voice simultaneously. You could ask questions to different students. So the most innovative technology that's widely used right now, it's Zoom. But at that time, what we were using was this video conferencing, which would emulate the students being in the same classroom, and they could see the presentations as well as the students, and they could actually talk among them. There's another example right there. Another example. So what about the experience? How does this differ from a face-to-face class? Well, of course, if we're talking about video conferencing, not specifically an asynchronous class, it definitely provides the students the opportunity to take a class that is not offered at their institution without having to commute, while still having the face-to-face class experience. So this is great because in that aspect it is different from Zoom in that it provides a more global experience and a more authentic experience. The second option, of course, is the online, which is completely asynchronous. And actually, I was able to teach both formats via the video conferencing from Texas Lutheran University. And so we would have a special room, classroom equipped, where the students were able to use this. And so students among other institutions were able to connect. Now I would like to talk, and I showed you some of the pictures so that you had an idea how that looked. Now I would like to address the online class. We know that an online asynchronous class can be challenging to the students sometimes because it doesn't really resemble the face-to-face experience. So it really puts a lot more responsibility on the students as opposed to on the teacher. Why? Because they need to keep up with the syllabus, they need to keep up with the assignments, and the professor is not there 100% physically or visually, so to speak, compared to a face-to-face class. So what I try to create for the students to have a better experience with an asynchronous class was what I'm about to address. In this case, it was Spanish for healthcare professions. And what I actually chose is a book that is a pocket book that students that are interested in the healthcare, specifically in our nursing program, are going to use all the time. So it's easy to just put it on their purse, and whenever they're doing an internship or carrying it around, it's easy to find information and easy to use. So that is outside the class. Inside the class, while the students look at each unit and each module in the book, I personally created a video for each module that they were able to study as if it were a face-to-face class while they are actually looking at the textbook. So in a way, it's the closest as a face-to-face class because they would need to open their textbooks, complete the assignments, etc., while watching me lecture. And whenever I say lecture, I only say 7 to 10 minutes, because after that we do group work, and I would assign them different activities in an asynchronous class where they also need to engage. So this is just an example of how it looks. So continuing with the presentation, as I mentioned, it closely resembles a face-to-face class. How? Well, by doing videos and textbook, while following again the textbook, along the textbook, excuse me, and also doing forum as a way to participate. I also put them into groups, as I had previously mentioned, to do an activity or scenario presentations where they need to participate as well, even though it's an asynchronous class. So the students still get to interact with each other on group assignments where they need to meet out of class, or today, if I were to make a change, of course, we could do Zoom, so they could do videos and then send those to me. So technology keeps changing, and it always keeps adding to our classes. So they are actually assessed in the 4 proficiency skills, specifically reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And of course, it includes a cultural component, as we know that the culture is a vehicle to understand language and vice versa. A language is definitely a vehicle to understand culture, but culture can also help to understand details about language. How? Well, because if we talk about the different variants of the Spanish language, well, we can look at a specific country where, for example, in Spain, the pronunciation of Castilian Spanish in central northern Spain specifically, it's very different than the south of Spain, which it's the same country, but yet the pronunciation of southern Spain is closer to the Caribbean pronunciation. So again, we can see how we have different variants of the same language, not only in the same country, but also in regionally referring, and also, if we're talking about a more diverse setting, well, among cultures and countries due to these cultures, no? Anyways, and also due to the history, but I'm not going to go back of why we pronounce certain ways in certain countries, or certain regions of a specific country. This is more of a sociolinguistic presentation. So again, going back to hopefully connecting the students via telecommunications, and especially via the consortium. Well, the pros are definitely that it used to be before Zoom, and it continues to be, or can still become, even an innovative approach to enhance and expand course offerings. I think now using Zoom, we can always make the course even better and improve it in different ways. And it's a regional collaboration through technology, students and faculty. And of course, it requires institutional and departmental collaboration. It's a great way to not cancel a course. I mean, unfortunately, we see that the humanities are disappearing, not only in the States, and I'm talking about the States because I teach there, but I've gone to different conferences at a regional level, at a national level, and at an international level, and the case seems to be similar, unfortunately. So it's a great way not to cancel a course if there are only some students matriculated there, and it's a way to still give the course or teach the course, and the students can also benefit. So it's a win-to-win, not only for the students, but also the different universities. Now, there are some challenges. Students from other institutions might not have the same proficiency in their second language. So I had in a course, I had a heritage speaker of Spanish, and I had a second language learner. So there's a huge difference, but of course there are ways to combine these two students so that they can work together and both can benefit from the other one. No? They can still be motivated, but this can present a challenge. Another challenge is that we may experience technological difficulties. Again, I would say that technology can definitely enhance the course, but sometimes, you know, things happen. So we definitely need great support, and we need to have a plan B. Also, providing and giving this course requires a lot more preparation. For instance, in the past, I had to scan the test ahead of time, and I would have to email it to the students, excuse me, not to the students, to the proctoring center, so that they would be ready at the 3 other institutions whenever the test day would arrive. So again, that would be another, let's say, challenge, but I think at the end, it was really a nice way to enhance the course and to see how students can participate. So I do have a quiz, and hopefully you can answer that. I would like to ask, what does TLC stand for? Hopefully you will reply, the ones that are there at the conference. I would appreciate your participation so that I'm not the only one lecturing, but we can all benefit. So TLC stands for Texas Language or Texas Learning. Well, of course, it stands for Texas Learning Consortium. And there are 4 institutions that this represents. So one was Texas Lutheran University. Can you tell me the other 3? And finally, if you would like to teach for the TLC, you could offer 2 types of courses. One would be, hopefully you said online, and the other via telecommunications. That was the whole objective of this presentation. Well, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to attend this presentation, and especially the organizers of this conference. Thank you so much for allowing me to present on the Texas Learning Consortium so that more people are aware of this and continue to collaborate. Thank you very much. Have a great day.